Good evening, Intashidale. Thank you all so much for joining us at this Tibet House Trust annual talk event, which is the signature event of Tibet House Trust, which is the charitable arm of the Office of Tibet London, where I work as the secretary. My name is Tenzin Kunga, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you all. Geshe is on the way, and I thought let us first start with the short video program, which talks about the contributions of the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, which is based in Dharamsala, which Geshe Lhakdor heads. So he wanted us at the start to play this so that all of you are, I know anyways most of you are aware, but for others who are not aware, just to see the magnitude of work that the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives does in Dharamsala, in the field of preservation of the Tibetan language, culture, the manuscripts, and contribution to the wider world. So we will begin with that video program, and once that is done, I'm sure Geshe would also be, walking in, and then we'll start the official program. So my colleague Namkala will play that video.
This institute, Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, is established by His Holiness the Dalai Lama for preservation of unique Tibetan culture and religion. Tibetan culture and religion is not only a world cultural heritage, but it is unfortunately today facing threat of extinction in its own country.
We'd like to welcome Geshe Lhakdor to the venue here. And to begin with, I just wanted to let you all know how this talk will pan out. At the beginning, I would like to welcome the representative to deliver the welcome address. This will then be followed by the representative introducing Geshe Lhakdor, our distinguished speaker, who will speak on the topic of the power of compassion in navigating the modern challenges and overcoming fear. He will be speaking on this topic for about 40 minutes, and this will be followed by a Q&A session for about 20 minutes, where all of you will have the opportunity to ask questions about this talk, as well as any other questions that you may have, now that we have Geshe with us. So it's good to tap into his wisdom. And as you all know, we are organizing this event in this very special year, the year of compassion, and in the 90th year of His Holiness Dalai Lama life and contribution to humanity. And as part of the Year of Compassion events, the Tibet House Trust is organizing this annual talk event. Many of you may recall that the Tibet House Trust came up with this annual talk series starting in the autumn of 2019. And it was our very own Geshe Lhakdor who was our first speaker then. We are now into the 7th year of this wonderful tradition. And except for a time in 2021, during the COVID season when it was all done online, we have always had the honor of having distinguished speakers come and deliver this annual talk. So today, I think it has come like a full circle. Geshe is with us once again in this 7th year of this edition. And we are really privileged and honored to have you, Geshe. Geshe, as some of you may know, and for information of all of you, he has been here for more than a week now on a different engagement. And whilst he was here, we, the Office of Tibet, took this opportunity to host him for a few days, but he has committed 3 days to us. And over these 3 days, we have organized different talks. And yesterday, we were at Bristol, where he addressed a room full of Tibetans and non-Tibetans. Almost 100 people turned up. And today, this is the main event of his visit here, and tomorrow he's traveling back to India. So without much further ado, I would like to welcome the representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama here at the Office of Tibet, London, who is also the chair of the trustees of the Tibet House Trust, to deliver the welcome address and introduce our distinguished speaker. Thank you so much.
Good evening and Tashidarik everyone. On behalf of the Tibet House Trust, I would like to extend my hearty greetings and warm welcome to all of you attending this year's Tibet House Series talk series. I am deeply honored and delighted to have the gracious presence of Geshe Lhakdor as our distinguished speaker this evening. Geshe Lhakdor will be speaking on the topic of the power of compassion in overcoming fear and navigating modern challenges. This topic has been chosen to celebrate the year of compassion being observed Tibetan communities across the globe to mark the 90th birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama as directed by the Central Tibetan Administration based in Dharamsala, India. This theme feels especially timely in today's challenging, fast-changing, and often chaotic and uncertain world, where compassion can serve both as a source of strength and a path to inner peace. We are truly fortunate to hear the profound insights on compassion from such an, I would say, articulate and pragmatic Buddhist leader as Geshe Lhakdor. I'm sure his wisdom and experience will undoubtedly guide us in cultivating compassion in our lives, especially at these challenging times. Let me now briefly introduce Geshe Lhakdor. Geshe Lhakdor is the director of the Library of the Tibetan Works and Archives based in Dharamsala. He served as the principal translator to His Holiness the Dalai Lama for 16 years. In 1982, he received his master's degree in English from Punjab University, followed by MPhil degree from Delhi University. He earned his Geshe degree from Drepung Losaling Monastic University in 1995. He has worked as a co-translator of the several books by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the notable among which are The Way to Freedom, The Joy of Living and Dying in Peace, Awakening the Mind, Enlightening the Heart, and The Stages of Meditation. He is presently the chairman of the Education Council of the Central Tibetan Administration. Over to you, Geshla. Thank you.
So I will So I want to see you. It is my great privilege and honor to see all of you. I see many my old friends. Because of the distance, sometimes we are unable to see for years, like Jen and Kate, and then, of course, all our Tibetan friends, you know. So it's really, really wonderful to have this short kind of reunion and refreshing our old friendship, right? So first I will do a short recitation. So basically this verse can be translated something like this. I pay homage to the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the protector of the Tibetan people, who has illuminated the path of compassion and path of emptiness. We would like to remember you in our prayers may your wishes be fulfilled. That's the meaning of this verse. So this verse itself talks about the importance of union of emptiness and compassion. So this is the heart of Buddhist teaching. So while talking about the importance of compassion, I really would like to talk about the combination of the path of compassion and wisdom, or path of compassion or wisdom, understanding, emptiness and shunyata. This is so crucially important. There is another Tibetan verse which just came into mind. Gadan nada chive love to be sibe solin rowa rovarsho. That means this existence, this world is really turbulent due to aging, sickness, death. May we all be liberated from this contaminated existence. This is very profound. It's indeed turbulent today, right? And the so-called leaders everywhere, they are just brandishing the guns and flexing their muscles. You know, I will bombard you. I will use my ballistic missile. Right now, the world has over 20,000 nuclear warheads. How much damage you can do just by one nuclear warhead? This is total insanity. Insanity of unthinkable measure. Insanity is there with everybody. Some kind of madness is there with all of us. We have this, in a way, tolerant kind of ignorance is there with all of us. But the scale that is there today. And we are further strengthening this insanity. Not only the insanity that is there in the mind of the so-called leaders, but insanity provoked by a large number of people by electing them. I don't know how this all happens. But it is definitely not a time to get discouraged and depressed. Yesterday I was delivering this talk in the Bristol to some Tibetans and non-Tibetans. So at the end, during the question and answer session, one gentleman asked me, "Do you still see some hope?" And why? I said, "You are the hope." I said, "You are the hope." I had the great pleasure of traveling to over 30 countries, and some countries repeatedly. Britain now may be my 5th or 6th visit. America maybe I visited 20, 30 times. So likewise many other countries. So when you visit all these countries, the majority of ordinary people like you and me are all wonderful people, nice people. That is our hope. But the problem is sometimes these wonderful, nice people, which forms the majority, are silent majority, as we say. We are really very silent. We are not able to, voice our concerns, our responsibilities. I am nobody to make big statement, but I really want to say it is high time. Say no to nuclear warheads. Say no to ballistic missiles. Therefore, you need wisdom from every side. In the Buddhist wisdom, it says you don't have to kill people; they will die. Isn't this a wisdom? You don't have to kill people; they will die. Since you're already experiencing death, suffering, sickness, why the hell, if I'm permitted to use the word hell, why the hell you create more problem, bring more suffering, expedite the death? This short life is for happiness, for peace, for harmony, for enjoyment. And because people are not really moving in the right direction, in many of my talks today or in these days, I tell people, I need to tell what we call as the bitter truth. And I had to tell the bitter truth, just as the Buddha did. After the Buddha got enlightened, when he was requested to give a teaching, he said, "No. The wisdom, the nectar I found is so profound, peaceful, free from fabrication, clear light, unconditioned." Mark all these words, they are very profound. if nobody will understand it. Just let me do my meditation. And on repeated request, finally when he agreed to give the teaching, he gave a very simple teaching, the so-called Four Noble Truth. He was basically saying, look, we want happiness. Happiness is a cause. We don't want suffering. Suffering has a cause. So if you don't want suffering, find out the causes and conditions for suffering, reduce them, if possible eliminate them, if not at least reduce them, you will be happier. You will be happier. If you really want happiness, again find the causes and conditions, cultivate them, you will be happier. This is what he saw clearly. What he saw clearly was people really want happiness, don't want suffering, but nobody is caring about what are the causes of conditions for suffering, for happiness. That's why they continue to suffer unnecessarily. And His Holiness calls this suffering unnecessary suffering. We are experiencing two kinds of suffering. One, suffering from natural disasters, tsunami, earthquake, and all those things, which are to some extent understandable. But then what about the man-made sufferings? His Holiness the Dalai Lama clearly says the man-made sufferings are unnecessary suffering. Unnecessary. Why you are creating unnecessary suffering? So we need to be now cognizant. We need to wake up. We need to think a little bit, use our brain, study about the reality, not just continue to hedge this blind faith. I belong to this religion, I belong to this religion is the best, and then you fight over it. Politicians use that. This is happening everywhere, unfortunately. So what we need to do is wake up. Use your amazing brain and the wonderful language that you have, which none of the other animals have. And use this language not for saying, bring my cup of tea, bring my lunch, dinner, not just for that. That language is for dialogue, for negotiation. If there's a problem, we should immediately say, okay, let us accept that we have a problem. So let us sit down and talk and solve the problem. You can easily solve it. We are not tigers and lions. If you're an animal like a tiger and lion, if there is a problem with the tiger and lion, then they cannot say, let us sit down, have negotiation and dialogue. They don't have that sophisticated language. So only thing they can do is pounce upon each other and try to tear each other apart. Unfortunately, we are exactly doing that today. As I said, using nuclear bombs, ballistic missiles, and all sort of things. Day in and day out, so-called these leaders are thinking about inventing all kind of horrible, destructive weapons. And I'm telling them in a challenging note, and you need to tell this strongly. If you really think about the law of nature, the law of nature is such that all this over 8 billion human population that we have today on this globe, they will all be dead in 100 years. Is there anybody who thinks about that? This is the bitter truth. Over 8 billion human population are dead after 100 years. I'm not saying they will be killed by nuclear bombs and ballistic missiles. Unfortunately, they are all there to expedite the unfortunate situation. But even otherwise, our lifespan is 100 years. After that, we are gone. And yesterday I was reading a scientific article which says you try as much as you can. The only limit to which you can prolong your life is maybe 120 to 150 years, not beyond that. Not beyond that. So we are all dead. And why we need to say this? I need to say this because if that is the case, what do you think is the best to do in your life? In my case, when I say 100 years, it's for everybody. But then you relate it to your own life. In my case, I'm already over 70. So if I'm lucky, maybe another 10 years. So what are you going to do in this next 10 years? 10 years means half of that you sleep. Then in the day, there's a story of a Tibetan teacher and the student. The teacher, Stanley says, are you really studying? The student says, yes sir, I'm studying. Don't tell lie. When do you find time to study? In the night you sleep. In the day you get distracted here and there. So when do you get time to study? This is worse than, today it's worse than that time. Today there are so many objects on display to make us completely distracted. Just your mobile phone is enough to knock you down. Completely distracted. Completely distracted. No concentration, no analytical meditation, right? So therefore, one of the most important point where the emphasis is made in Buddhism is make this precious human life meaningful. In Buddhism, we call this life precious human life. Precious human life means not just you have an intelligence, but you have this amazing opportunity to use this intelligence in the right way. Unfortunately, majority of the people are using this intelligence in the wrong way. Number one, many of us don't even use the intelligence. We just keep on listening the rubbish information that is available in plenty, and then we proudly say, we are living in the age of information. Half of which is, more than half of which is junk information. We are wasting time and no proper knowledge, and worse than that, no wisdom, unfortunately. So that is it, therefore it is high time that we live our life in such a way that we are able to distinguish ourselves from animals. So the first important point is you should become a real human being in the true sense of the term. When we say human being in the true sense of the term, when we use this word, not just human but human being, it is this amazing connotation of somebody having some ethics, including compassion. If that is there, then everything will be in its right place. So therefore the Buddha, in one of his sutras, he says, if you have one practice in the palm of your hand, you have all the practices in the palm of your hand. And what is that practice? Great compassion. If you genuinely have this great compassion, which means, how nice if all sentient beings are without suffering, if you genuinely have this kind of thinking, how can you bully others? How can you exploit others? How can you cheat others? So if you have one quality, that means we don't have even one good quality. So therefore, it is high time. We Tibetans are now celebrating His Holiness's 90th anniversary as the year of love and compassion. So therefore, it is high time we start from this year, pay a lot of attention on compassion, use your brain, wisdom. And I was reading a little bit this morning, some quotations from Einstein, and I was struck to find that what Einstein said was very close to what the Buddha said. And Einstein said, it is the stupidity, fear, and attachment which is destroying the planet, destroying the world. Almost exactly same. And Buddha said, stupidity means ignorance. Buddha said ignorance, hatred, and attachment which is destroying the planet. Right? Now, if ordinary persons, if you use these two qualities, attachment and hatred and little bit fighting, little bit of love affair, then the life seems colorful. You watch the movies in India and elsewhere, mostly it is violence and sex. This is how ordinary human beings live, right? Now the risk for this kind of living is, you are, number one, living like an animal. And number two, if you see carefully and think carefully, this way of superficial life comes from ignorance, not knowing the reality. Reality, as I mentioned earlier, the reality is that we are all interconnected, we are all going to die, nobody knows when, right? And we are oblivious to these simple facts. And when COVID-19 came, I really expected there will be some kind of awakening. Because when COVID-19 came, this invisible bug harmed all of us. When this issue, this problem was there, the most so-called, the most powerful countries, America, China, Russia, yeah, what did they do? they were brought to their knees by this invisible bug. And this bug, this COVID-19 did not say, I will harm only the Americans and not the Chinese, or harm the Tibetans and not the Indians, things like that. It harmed everybody without making any distinction. That is the point that I wanted to make. Law of nature does not discriminate. If there's a tsunami, it will affect everybody. If there's a flood, it will affect everybody. It will not say which country you belong to, whether you are black, white, red, green, whatever. You see, we don't think about these things. The sameness of the fate. We are just like a group of people traveling in a very turbulent, small boat, traveling in a turbulent sea. You know, if you're a group of people from different nationalities traveling in a turbulent boat in a turbulent sea, you will not talk about which nationality you belong to. There's no room for hatred and exploitation. The sea is turbulent, so the only thing that you will think together is how can we together swim safely across the ocean, right? And I had this experience myself here in London when His Holiness was visiting. I don't remember, maybe Hilton Hotel or somewhere we were staying, and I was on the 22nd floor. Around exactly 2:30, there was a siren, and with this siren, everybody came down from 22nd, 3rd, whatever floor on the lobby, you know, with whatever little clothes they are able to, you know, get hold of, just using that. They were all there. Now look at this interesting scene. Before that siren, when we were all checking in the hotel, we were hardly paying attention to each other. Everybody thought, I am the gentleman, I am the gentlewoman, you know. Why should I specially talk to this person, that person? Hi, at the most you say, hi, good morning, at the most. Or you will say, and then go away. Now, after this siren, when everybody with almost no clothes together in the lobby, they needed no introduction. Everybody was, so from which country you belong to? So, there is something that you constantly see when you fly. Again, when you buy the ticket and, you know, before you board the flight, everybody pretends I am a great gentleman, woman. No need to speak. Then you board the plane. Then the plane is flying. Let us say there's a wonderful weather. It's a very smooth flight. Everybody looks gentleman, you know, very busy with the small screen or the food on the table, things like that. And then gradually when the pilot makes an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the zone of turbulence. Tie your belt. Immediately they start looking at each other and smiling a little bit. And when it's really turbulent, they become very humbled and gentle, you know. So the point is that when we face this difficulty and problem, the only thing that will help us is show this love and compassion and smile to each other. But unfortunately, normally we forget. We forget. We forget that you are going to die. We forget you are going to age. You know, you think I can manage. I can manage. No. So therefore, there's hardly any need to speak about the importance of love and compassion, you know. When the child was born, the first thing that the child does is what? Crying, right? Crying, not laughing. If the first thing that the child does is laughing, they might say, oh, this must be a big reincarnation, or maybe a big ghost or devil, you know, which is very unusual, right? So the first thing the child does is crying. And what do you think is the child is asking when the child is crying? Because that cry is the only language that the child has at that time. Do you think the child is asking for a lengthy discourse on Buddhism? Thereby on Christianity or Judaism, whatever? No. The child is simply asking for somebody's unconditional love, unconditional compassion, because the child at that time has nothing to give back. Nothing to give back. No teeth in the mouth, no hair on the head, worse than my situation, right? Really, very vulnerable, very fragile. So at that time, the child is able to survive. Most of you who had this experience of dealing with children, you know this very well. The child is able to survive because of more or less the unconditional love, especially of the mother and other, caregivers. Now the paradox is when we grow up, and especially when we get this so-called education, right, then you forget this basic sameness. Then you focus more on the things that is dividing which country you belong to, which nationality you belong to, are you a man or a woman. So much judgment, right? Discrimination, segregation. That's why you are unnecessarily suffering. It's a really, really high time to stop this stupid discrimination, stop this tribal mentality. We are, whether you like it or not, we are hurled into the face of each other through the speed of science and technology. We cannot avoid this fact. So therefore, the only thing that will really help us is this loving kindness and compassion. When you develop this genuine love and compassion, the first thing it does is it opens the inner door. And I don't have much experience, but a little bit experience, little experience, because I've been talking about this, reading the Buddhist text for so many years. So even if a stone remains in the water for a long time, it gets a little bit moisture. So I do think that I have a little bit moisture. So therefore, when you see somebody high or beautiful or not so beautiful, poor, rich, when you see, okay, another human being, nobody knows when he is going to die, she is going to die. He or she is unfortunately oblivious to this. When you think like this, then you feel this affinity, close feeling, you see. And that opens your inner door. You bring some smile on your face. This smile is almost like sunshine. Sunshine. I tell you, I have many stories. Now I'm quite old, so I have many experiences. When I was working in His Holiness office, I have many. Just tell you one. One black woman came with a little child, maybe 6-7 years old. So normally the office tells me, okay, Geshe, I was the only monk who speaks English, and then they say, okay, talk to this person, because we can't let all these people to see His Holiness, so you deal. It's a very difficult job, but very, very interesting job. I learned so much. So then I went down, and then she started saying things. So I listened carefully. For a long time she started saying things. Then when I was about to say something, you know what she said? I don't want to hear anything from you. I don't want to hear anything from you. You're so kind. You listen to me patiently. So far nobody listened to me. And with tears and feeling of gratitude, I had this experience with many people. So just lending a patient ear to many people, show this feeling of closeness, you see. So important. So important. And that's why His Holiness Dalai Lama says, if you want to be happy, be compassionate. If you want to make others happy, be compassionate. And these great qualities like loving kindness, compassion, they're all free. If you make a little bit effort, it will all be yours. Right? And Buddha was so kind, he did not put a special trademark saying nobody can use it. Although it came from him, he said, use it, My purpose is to benefit all of you, use it. And I spent so many years studying Buddhist philosophy. And I had the great fortune of working with His Holiness for so many years. And then I had the great fortune of, traveling to so many countries, right? So I know it very well, right? So it's really important. This life is short. There are too many things to know. You don't need to know everything. Just a little bit, be selective, spend quality time, focus on some really, really important things. If you are thirsty, you need to drink water, right? But you don't have to drink the whole ocean. You can't drink also, there's no need to drink the whole ocean also. There's again problem with us. We think that, I need to know everything, a little bit from here and there, everything. You don't need to know everything. You should know what it really matters. Right? And especially the world is today suffering from compassion or empathy deficit, right? And that's why we need to talk about this. That's why we are celebrating this year as Compassion Year, because it's only His Holiness and some people who are talking so much about love and compassion. Not many people are talking about these things. And instead, unfortunately, many people think compassion is a sign of weakness. If you resort to arms, flex your muscles, then say, oh, you are man. If you talk about non-violence, coming, this is outdated, People even go to the extent by saying, oh, you Tibetans, you are supposed to be practicing love and compassion. What happened to your country? And there is an element of truth there also. So here what we need to know is, this is not because compassion is weak or non-violence is weak, but we are unable to fully take advantage of the multi-dimensional aspects of compassion and wisdom. So these days I have started telling people, compassion does not mean that you become weak. Compassion does not mean you become a doormat. So therefore, as I cited in that prayer, that compassion must be supported by wisdom. If you have the wisdom, then you know when to be very gentle, very nice, or when to be little bit at a distance. Right? And now if you think carefully, for example, the problem that we had with the Chinese, on the one hand, this massive army and population on the one hand, then on the other hand, this tiny small, population, Tibet, headed by a simple Buddhist monk, His Holiness Dalai Lama. On the surface, okay, China has taken Tibet completely, so it looks like they won, they won, and we lost. But if you look carefully, still there, the Chinese government is scared of His Holiness Dalai Lama. When His Holiness Dalai Lama escaped, when Mao Zedong asked, where is the Dalai Lama? Is he dead or killed? Where is he? Then their armies, they said he already fled. Then he said, okay, now he won, we lost. This is the thing. So you really, if you want to win a war, you need to be gentle. You need to be compassionate. So these days I'm encouraging many people to pay more attention to the soft power, not on the hard power. Soft power means power of culture, power of love, power of compassion, which everybody needs, right? And in fact, in our regular life, people practicing love and compassion is much more than people who engage in violence. But people who have been practicing love and compassion in hospitals, in home, they don't become news because we take it for granted. This is something we should be doing. Whereas when it is a notorious act like killing somebody, it becomes a news because it is against human nature. But sometimes, because this defection, sometimes we start feeling, okay, human beings are like negative or something like that, right? So therefore, when we talk about choosing path of compassion and wisdom, by wisdom, or when we talk about choosing the path of compassion and wisdom, understanding emptiness, the word emptiness just means ultimate reality, which is pervading to all of us, which is universal. So once you understand this emptiness, which means there is nothing whatsoever that has inherent independent existence, and we are all interconnected, interdependent. Once you understand this, you can't make this stupid discrimination. And once you understand this, then the whole world becomes your family, your home, right? So how can you destroy your home? How can you destroy your environment? In terms of our relationship with the environment, the medicine that we take comes from environment. The food we take comes from environment. If you continuously pollute and contaminate environment, how are you going to get healthy food, healthy medicine? Especially in the Tibetan system of medicine, it is clearly mentioned that when you become sick, it means there is imbalance in the four elements. Now in order to rectify that imbalance, you need to take medicine. That medicine comes from environment. If that environment is polluted, not healthy, then the medicine that is prepared from there will not be able to rectify your imbalance. So much close connection. The air we breathe, the food we eat, everything is. So it's so important to encourage people to be more aware and cognizant of the real situation. And the problem with all of us is, unfortunately, we keep on seeing things which we want to see, not what we should be seeing. That's the problem. So the Buddhist teaching says you should not keep on seeing what you want to see, but you should see what needs to be seen, the reality, the unbiased fact, the unbiased reality. And once you do that, then you will see this very close network or web of interconnectedness. Right? And especially in today's world, we are all thrown into the face of each other through the speed of science and technology. We cannot make any distinction right now, right? Right? So therefore it is high time that now it is not just the Buddhist text saying, so many scientific findings proving how important compassion is, how important sympathy is, how important empathy is. First you develop sympathy, which cares about other people's suffering. Then you develop empathy, where you really feel other people's suffering. Then you develop compassion, which means empathy plus action. And that action will come if you have really spent some time really thinking about other people's problem or your own problem. Right? So therefore, love, to conclude, love and compassion, these are qualities which deaf can hear and blind can see. And we have I know many of you doing like philanthropic social activities, and you know that how important it is. I know Isabel for so many years. She is doing all these amazing, activities, right? So if you do it, it's like eating. If you really eat it, not just talk about it, then you will feel inspired. Yes, this is the right way. So let us not just talk about love and compassion, but as much as possible. It is a fact that we cannot get enlightened in one day, but through gradual practice, you will see the benefit of it. And it is through this way we can help prolong His Holiness' life, the life of many people. It is not just simply gathering together and make a long life offering. Then after that, nothing in your daily practice, right? It should not be there. In our daily practice, be it for the cause of Tibet, be it for the cause of humanity, on a regular basis, we need to be kind, compassionate, and as His Holiness says, if it is possible, help others as much as you can. If you cannot help, at least refrain from harming. That summarizes everything so beautifully. Okay, you must be bored right now hearing this old man talking too much. So I stop here, right? So now you have the chance to bombard me with questions. And I'm ready for that, because I have adopted a very interesting technique. When I encourage other people to ask questions, then when I say please ask question, I do not mean I have all the answers. but let us talk and think, okay? Any questions? Thank you. Any questions, observations? Yes, please.
Do you want a microphone?
I think one of the
You need microphone, maybe if.
No, I can speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the most important things I've learned from the Buddha is to question.
Exactly.
And blind compassion is as bad as not having compassion. It's worse.
Yeah.
So where do we need to, as far as I understand, I need to put compassion where there is truth.
Exactly.
Not I just go with my ordinary feeling. I
Exactly.
know
Exactly.
where and how I have to make compassion.
Just based on your individual experience. Individual experience. Buddha came up with all these teachings based on his personal meditation and experience. So likewise, we should also think.
But I may not have enough experience. Everything is new. Everything.
No.
I need to
This, yes.
But I need to question.
Yes.
Why, where I put my compassion.
I'll tell you the experiences that you have,
Yeah.
or all of us have. We all know that harming others is not good.
Yes. Right.
Hurting others is not good. That's our experience. We all know being nice and helping others is good. We all know. There are so many things, good things, that you already know.
Yeah.
But the problem is, many times we fail to practice it. You know, but many times you fail to, at least this is true in my own case, you fail to practice it. So you need to practice regularly. Regularly. There is a Buddhist teaching, you go to a Lama and he gives you tantric empowerment, and then he says, okay, now you need to do this 6-session Guru Yoga practice 3 times a day, 3 times a night, right? Then some people came to me, oh, this is a little bit troublesome. How can I do this 3 times? And in fact, why I need to do this 3 times a day, 3 times a night, which means 6 times? So in the beginning, when people ask me such question, I could not answer properly. Now I have very good answer. Now when they ask me such question, then I tell them, okay, how many times you eat? For your body, how many times you eat? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in between, biscuit, Kit Kat, whatever, so many things. So for your mind also, you need to feed it with regular practices. And in fact, I come to the conclusion that much of the problem that we are facing in the world today is a clear indication of starvation of human mind. We are not giving enough food to the mind.
Yeah.
And the food.
But my question is very much based especially on what is going on in the world, as you say.
Yeah.
That we need to know where we put our compassion, where the truth comes. Not by just ordinary feeling being blindly.
Yeah, true. So therefore, as I was saying, it has to be reasonable, it has to be realistic.
Question.
Yeah, caution is one thing, but as I said, you already know the need for compassion. And those who need compassion is, of course, those who are less privileged, those who are, in the weaker section of the society, they need more, right? So therefore, you need to express this compassion not only to other people, but to yourself also. There are many people, they get shocked when we talk about developing compassion to oneself, and then they ignore themselves. And that's why today in big hospitals, nurses and doctors are suffering from compassion fatigue, work fatigue. So it's important to express this compassion to oneself and to others and to practice it. But that doesn't mean you can change the world in overnight. It takes time, but if you are able to bring smile on the face of 10 people, you are doing good job. And if you do it, I do it, everybody does it, there will be this ripple effect to help change the world. And especially this kind of teaching and lesson is so important for the younger generation. Elder people, at least because they learned the life's experience, they have some knowledge, some experience. Young people have nothing. They only know how to fiddle and play with the mobile phone, things like that, you see. And then in the education system, there is really nothing. Today.
I think the core of it is the truth.
Huh?
The truth.
Yes, that's why I was talking about
That is most important.
Yes, I agree. Law of nature, I use the word law of nature, understand the truth. Okay. Yeah. Number one, I'm not Rinpoche.
You mentioned about the distraction, right?
Yeah.
Especially the phones, AI, so many things happen.
Yeah.
You also mentioned it.
Yeah.
During the panel discussion and also.
A little bit louder so other people can hear.
I'll give you the mic.
The mic. Use the mic.
Hello, Singita.
Yeah. Bedkhal Majarji, yes.
Geshe, you mentioned about the distractions.
Yeah.
And especially we are in the time of
technologies,
Yes.
AI, and so many things happening
yes,
around.
Yes.
And yeah, as my experience, right?
Yes.
Even I have experienced that we need phone, we need laptop,
Yes.
we need iPad, and we
Yes.
need so many things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so difficult to uh, to prioritize which one is the, like, for example, I do like most of readings and all these things on iPad and laptop. At the same time, there are lots of other like distractions. How can we avoid these distractions and make like each day is more?
By understanding what is the real lifeline, by understanding what is really, really important. For example, I'll give you an example. This world has produced many compassionate people. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Bishop Tutu, so many teachers of compassion, teachers. If you think carefully, whether they belong to Christianity or Buddhism, whatever, all these great people who really did a great job in helping, people, they were all, at the end of the day, were all compassionate people. If this one factor, compassion, is not there in their mind, if this one factor, if love is not in their mind, they would not be great personalities. As simple as that. As simple as that. Now again you should think, okay, at the time of the Buddha, was there an iPhone? Artificial intelligence? ChatGPT? None of these things were there. But today we are desperate in getting the wisdom cultivated by Buddha, which is not available today in your iPhone, in your artificial intelligence. I'm not trying to be cynical, I'm not against technological development, there may be call of the day. But the thing is, the simple fact is, sometimes we call politics dirty politics. Politics itself is not dirty. It's the people who practice politics which makes it dirty. Similarly, religion also, because of people it becomes dirty religion, dirty artificial intelligence. Just before coming here, I was reading a small piece which nicknames artificial intelligence as stupid intelligence versus genuine human intelligence. So now I can see we are paying so much attention to the artificial intelligence and not paying any attention to the real intelligence that we can cultivate. As simple as that. As simple as that. Whatever marvelous the technological facts are there, at the end of the day, they are all manipulated, controlled by human beings. And if human beings have no ethics, then the data they produce will be wrong, direction they show will be wrong, everything will be wrong, as simple as that. We have this experience right from Industrial Revolution until now, we have this experience. But the problem is we are so attracted to the shiny gadgets outside, completely lost. Inside, nothing. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's really like a person who just lives his nice home and goes touring the world, and his own beautiful house is dilapidating, covering with cobwebs, dust, nobody there to clean it, right? So like that, we just wear nice clothes and show these beautiful things. Inside it's full of cobwebs, negative emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred. So somebody has to do the cleaning up. So that technique is being taught by Buddha. Really, as simple as that. What is really important thing in your life? As I said, if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, not whole ocean. There's no need to know everything. You cannot know everything. No need to know everything. Jack of all, master of none, as we say, is the reality of today's people. Yeah, one important thing. I call it travel through the national highway. Understand the national highway. Go through it. Occasional, okay, for your lunch, dinner, you stop a little. That's okay. But there should be a national highway in your life. That this is the path on which I want to go. You have to have this. If you have this, then you can use ChatGPT, whatever, to support this. Okay? I want to. Yeah. I want to show I am full of energy.
Geshe Lhakdor,
Yeah.
my question is, at the beginning of talk, you've mentioned that that we as an individual
Yeah.
is a hope in this sort of very troublesome world.
Yeah.
But sometimes you feel like what you do is insubstantial, like it's negligible, and then you always think there is someone who's gonna save us all, and we always hope that
Stupid. That's the wrong way of thinking.
sometimes we feel like when we talk about any sort of problem, we see something is there, like as if nothing is connected to you. So how can we bring this to kind of
That's why, as I said and as you said, use your brain and think. Don't just blindly believe in everything. For example, the amount of pollution that we have produced in the world today, is it created by God?
No.
The pollution, is it created by Buddha? It's created by us. It's created by us. So therefore, we are responsible to clean that mess. The problem with the human beings is sometimes they only get focused with the technological, looks like realistic, something that they can touch and hear and fiddle with. Sometimes they blindly, unquestioningly believe in the so-called God or some other metaphysical being out there. This is kind of a joke. People don't hesitate killing each other in the name of the God. Killing this person who is in front of you, feeling, breathing, emotional, you don't hesitate to kill this person in the name of somebody about which, honestly speaking, you have no idea. So dangerous, so dangerous. Much of the wars that is fought in the name of religion happened on this. So therefore, and even science, supposed to be telling some of the basic truth and reality, but sometimes, what science gives us the technology to fiddle with, and the real important information they may be giving, but not enough. The state of environment in which we are, the risk we are facing in the world today, we should really highlight all these things and make everybody know about this. That information is not much there. And if I elaborate this a little bit, there was a time when there was Western philosophy, not Western science, right? So in the Western philosophy, it also talks about many metaphysical things, God and so many things. So some intelligent people, they came and said, okay, you are talking about all these metaphysical facts. I am not denying that, maybe there, maybe not there, but that is not so important for me. What is important for me is to talk about facts that people can relate to. So for a time being, we are going to do away with this word matter. Let us talk about physics. That is how science got separated from philosophy. You see? And similarly, in ruling the country, the countries are basically ruled by church or some other religious organization, right? And then again, the same kind of people came and said, in your dealing with the people and in your using the government, you are again using the metaphysical fact. This is God's wish, this, that. So let us don't do this. If you want to do this, okay, you are free to do this. But for ruling people, let us form a separate institution called state, government. That is how the separation of the state and church took place. And when the state got separated from the church, it is not saying that, okay, we have to have a nation and a state which has no moral ethics, In running the government also, you need to tell people don't kill, don't steal. This is called secular ethics, social emotional learning. Then again, now in the case of religion, again so much blind faith. Because of this, now many people came up with this new thinking of spirituality. And I attended a huge, big kind of massive gathering in Mexico some years back. Around 7,000, 8,000 people came. A number of people invited from scientists, religious, scholars, so many people. I was one of them, right? So there was a gentleman who wrote a book, which is a comparative study of spirituality and religion, and he found spirituality is much more beneficial, less destructive than religion, right? So that is the reality, right? So in religion, in science, use your brain. Don't follow blindly.
Can I ask you,
Yes.
what's the relationship between compassion and sense of responsibility?
If you have compassion, sense of responsibility will automatically come. Or in other words, because of your sense of responsibility, you can develop compassion. These are very closely related. Very closely related. Yeah. Good evening.
And thank you very much for enlightening our today's life. And it's really a great honor to listen to you and having into my heart. So my name is Jaka. I'm actually from Mongolia. I think I'm the only one from Mongolia. Thank you very much. So my question is, I practice spirituality in my
Yes,
life.
yes.
So I can see that people have lots of expectation and hope, real or unreal. And that makes them attached to the real or unreal life expectation and hope.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure how Buddha explained about expectation and also difference between expectation and hope.
Yeah.
So how you can solve it without attachment, how you can hope without attachment and without
Hope-
expectation
hope-
as well.
Hope and
Thank you.
expectation. Hope and expectation must be realistic. If I put a hope saying, okay, now just in front of you, I hope I can soar and fly into the space. This is unrealistic. You will keep on looking at me, nothing will happen. This is unrealistic. You may not have the complete picture, but at least you should have some sense that I can fulfill this hope. It has to be realistic. Okay?
So
Ye-
how did Buddha explain about the expectation?
Hmm.
Is it a good practice or it is?
It is important. In general, it is important to have hope, to be optimistic. But as I said, that optimism and hope should be as much as possible realistic. Realistic. Okay? And then to explain it in a different way, I tell people that you are the only original copy in this world. You are the only true original copy in this world. I am the only true original copy in this world. I am not a photocopy, I am not a duplicate. Why I am saying this? I am saying this because when I say you are the only true original copy, it means you have special talent, special capacity, which no one else has. And many people don't pay attention to this special talent. They only think, I should become like Bill Gates. I should become Elon Musk. I should become like His Holiness Dalai Lama, which is all good. But the most important thing, to become like that, first you should understand your own inner potential. And you will be shocked and surprised to see that you have so many talents which no one else have. And I know many people, some people are so good in study, but they are not at all good in cooking. Some are so good in cooking, not at all good in study. This is just a small example, So everybody has a different talent. So education means to bring that talent out. Education is not to make people imitate every other. Okay?
You have told us, and you put it in a lovely way, we should use our amazing brain and language for dialogue and negotiation.
Exactly.
So what is your advice when the other side is not prepared to engage in dialogue and negotiation?
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think you know what I'm referring to. His Holiness has been trying to do that with a certain government for a rather long time. So what should your attitude? What should his attitude be?
This is an amazing question because even His Holiness, he said that the problem with our friend who came into he came into Tibet without being invited. And he said, the problem with this friend is the friend has mouth and no ear. Only keeps on talking and lecturing, never listens. So it's a difficult job which we Tibetans have been dealing. You know, they only think about 100% victory on one side and 100% defeat on others. That is simply not realistic. It will take time, and not only this, but when you tread the path of non-violence, compassion, it takes time. But it is in accordance with the basic human nature. So at the end of the day, it will be the winner. If you look at history, how many dictatorial systems collapsed? It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Only a matter of time. I'm very optimistic. You can fool some people for some time. You cannot fool all people all the time. Okay.
Thank you. Geshe La, I was wondering if you have any advice about how to raise young people, young children, and generally young adults with compassion. Anything practical there? Because
by teaching by example, not just talking. Teaching by example. Young kids are there, very, very smart. You think they are not listening to you. You think they are not looking at you, but they are watching, imitating everything that you do. You see? And after all, human beings are not so different from monkeys. So very fond of imitating. And in fact, this reminded me a beautiful statement by a Tibetan scholar who said, all human activities are imitations, and whoever does the best imitation is called a scholar. Right? So therefore, for young people, it's really teaching by example and teaching through play. Not just making them sit hours and then keep on lecturing, have no idea what is going in their brain. No, this is outdated now. For example, you teach by playing. For example, teach small children, construct a small house by playing. And then when it is falling here and there, they should learn how to fix it. Just by this kind of playing, later on they will know how to construct things and how to, stop from falling. Right? So there are so many beautiful ways of teaching through play. And especially small kids. Many people say, oh, my child is so naughty, he can't sit still. No, your child is not naughty. This is his age. It's because of his age, he is bubbling with energy. So let him jump and play, And once I was invited to give a talk in Sera Monastery. It's a big monastery. So they invited me to give a talk, many, many years back, give a talk to the monk students there. So the monk students were standing like this. There is more grown-up monks, then the smallest one. So I was on the second floor, so I could see them very clearly. And these little ones, the regulars, they were just kicking and running around. And this one is a little bit better. This one is a little bit more quiet. It's age, right? So let them play and teach through playing, singing songs, like that. Very important. Thank you.
Geshe La, it's an honor to be in front of you and answer these questions. I've got two questions actually. The first one is how to cultivate a sense of compassion to people who are more powerful than you, like statements, and they are destroying, or they are causing damage, like people like Putin or Trump. How to cultivate a sense of compassion?
People who are destructive, negative, they need more compassion than the good people.
How to think?
Just thinking. You may not be able to completely change them, but just by thinking, oh, I'm so sad, he thinks he's a great leader, but he's making such stupid things. His Holiness once said that there is every reason to be more compassionate to the so-called the leaders and rich people and those who are in the higher societal pedals than the poor people. Poor people, in a way, poor people are suffering, but they know they are suffering. They have less jealousy, they have less competition. The so-called people on the higher pedestals of the society, looks great, but they are full of jealous competition, and thereby end up doing all stupid things. So they are the real object of compassion. Yeah.
And my second question is if you could talk a little bit more about self-compassion.
Self-compassion. If you really develop compassion for others, the first thing is you develop compassion to yourself. If you are not taking care of yourself, if you are not being compassionate to yourself, you are not compassionate to others. If you have a very frail physical body, unhealthy lifestyle, how can you help others? From the Buddhist perspective, your very life is for others. It's not just belongs to you, it belongs to others. So therefore, you need to take very good care of yourself. For example, in my case, it happened, I when at a very young age, I went to school, then went to the monasteries, then started working with His Holiness and other places. So I could not help my parents' relatives at all. So I used to think, okay, I am unable to help them. But gradually I noticed I was unable to help in one sense, but I had never brought any trouble on them. And gradually I studied hard and became His Holiness's translator. My parents really, they are all overjoyed. Then I was in a state where I can guide them, So I realized, yes, it's not just giving money, Right? Yeah.
Any other questions?
Now maybe.
Actually, if I may, there were some questions online.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd just read some of those and
Yeah.
feel free to answer any of those. Yes, okay, the questions. How not to hate intolerance? There's one question. And then there's another one, which is, there are a total of 4. Could the speaker apply the concept of compassion to a current crisis such as...
Let me answer the first one. Hating intolerance is not the solution. If it is the solution, then it's okay, you hate. That's not the solution. It will worsen the situation. Okay, so therefore that is not the right way.
And the second one was about applying the concept of compassion to a current crisis such as the one in Gaza.
Yeah. As I said, Buddha, who is really like embodiment of compassion, he also could not solve all problems in his time. Who are you then? Who are me? Right? But that doesn't mean you cannot do anything. Wherever there is a right platform, you should talk about it. Who is on the right side, who is on the wrong side. And then whenever possible, sometimes these people happen to be in India, sometimes in Dharamsala, show your solidarity, help them. So there's a lot of opportunity. You don't have to really go to the battlefield, which may not be wise and not useful. So, situation.
Sure. And the last 2 questions, how do you overcome anger with compassion? And the next one is, what is the main Buddhist teaching that the Western world can benefit from? Thank you.
If you develop compassion, anger will not come, number one. Right? And still, if you insist how to do away with anger, it's actually quite simple. I've been telling people, there is nobody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying, today I will get angry. Is there anybody? Yomar, nobody. But in the course of the day, you meet strange people, you pick a fight, sometimes even using fist. Having done that, then in the evening you return home and reflect about this fight that took place. Is there anybody again who would say, today I fought with somebody, so I really enjoyed the day? Not there. And when you develop this hatred and anger, nobody may be there, but because of this anger and hatred in your mind, you are unable to sleep peacefully. You keep on changing sides, thinking about this wrongdoing, not able to sleep. So that's why he's always saying, be compassionate to the Chinese. Now, for example, here, if I try to gather your support and get really angry about what the Chinese did and bang the table, okay, and you also join me, we all get very angry. We are suffering here. The Chinese government, the wrongdoers, they may not even have an inkling of idea what we are doing here. They may be watching a movie and sipping coffee, and so therefore, when you develop this negative emotions like anger, you become the first casualty, not other people. You lose your appetite, sleep, and so many things, and you become ugly. And everybody wants to be a presentable person, good-looking person, right? But when you get angry, it's horrible, you see. And then worst thing is, you lose your sense of discrimination, the capacity to judge what is right and what is wrong. That is gone. That means you are now mad, insane. And all these wars and conflicts take place because of insanity, right? And even in terms of money, I have a book, which says America loses billions of dollars in a year because of anger. You see, look at this, you see. And because of anger, there is a road rash, there is a killing, very expensive. Okay, so not good even for your, not only health, but also wealth. That's in the Mendo. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's now time for me to give the word of thanks. And firstly, I would like to immensely thank Geshe Lhakdor for your generosity with your time and also exemplifying compassion by very patiently, first delivering the talk and then replying to all our questions. And I'm sure everyone, especially the select audience gathered here would go out more enriched with lots of information, especially about the importance of compassion in everyday life. And we'd like to thank Geshe for his insights. I made a lot of notes, but some of the things which just pop up is something like the compassion, to be paired with wisdom. I found that really very interesting, and how we can, win war with gentleness and kindness, and how compassion, is also in turn beneficial for us. So I think it's very important that we practice compassion. So I would like to immensely thank Geshe Lhakdor for his time and also for his sharing his wisdom and experience with all of us. So can we all have a big round of applause? And at the same time, I would like to, on behalf of the trustees of Tibet House Trust and all those associated with Tibet House Trust, for joining us here. I know a few of you have come from really very far, so we really appreciate you joining us and being part of this Year of Compassion activities. We will be holding many such events throughout this Year of Compassion, and we hope all of you will join with us. And we also look forward to your continued support. And one of the takeaways for you can also be to also look at the work that's being done by the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives. Google it and try to see how best you can contribute in your own individual way, because each person has their own expertise, how best we can do that. So I wanted to mention that. And also many of you in this room have been long-time supporters of the Tibetan cause, and also Geshe rightly mentioned he could recognize many of you in the crowd. So we appreciate your long-standing support, and we would like to thank you all again. And before we end, we would like to ask Representative Yingila to please kindly offer a kata to Geshe as a thank you. end of the Tibet House Trust Annual Talk 2025, and there are some canopies at the end of the room over there. So while you go out, please make sure to enjoy those. And then there are some waters along the side. And Geshe Lhakdor will be leaving to another event now after this. And we have this room until 8:30. So please be considerate of that timing. And we as the Tibetan House Trust need to hand over this venue back to the friend's house. So please be mindful of that. And I think Geshe Lhakdor will spend few minutes here if you would like to take some pictures or engage with him. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you all for